Hey there, good to see you again. Welcome back to the Backroom Podcast with yours truly as always. I hope you're all doing well. This has been a very interesting past week for the world, hasn't it? I'm also going to be joined today with our resident little witchy kitty, Matilda. Tilda. She's even probably hard to pick up even with all the light shining directly on her. Anyways, yes, the world has been an absolutely wild place for the past week or so. Poor Ukraine being invaded by Russia, that's been pretty brutal to watch. I imagine you guys have probably seen some of the videos that they've also released. There's some pretty harrowing footage out there of the entire conflict, and I think at this point, Russia hasn't taken the main capital city of Kiev, but hopefully that doesn't end up happening. Regardless, to anyone out there who might be Ukrainian, who might ever watch this from Ukraine, whether the entire conflict is going on or not at this time while you're watching, I hope you're well, I hope you're staying safe, and my thoughts go out to you and your loved ones, and for your entire country as well. So, take care of yourself. For everybody, thank you very much for again joining me today. So let's go ahead and go over a little bit of the stuff that's been going on in my own personal life. And to be honest, this past week, it's been very quiet. I haven't really done a very large amount except for a little bit of work around the building and working on my workbench downstairs. But besides that, it's been a pretty mellow week. I'm just slowly returning back to my regular schedule, which I realized I kind of got out of the groove of doing when I went on vacation and when I got COVID previously. So it's like I'm almost trying to come back to getting everything back on, track for about a month almost, which is a little bit more challenging than if it were just a week or so. At least it is for me. Just a ton of rain over here, trying to get as much exercise in that I can so I can still, not get depressed with all the rain. What else have we been going through? Really, the only other thing that I could think of also is we've been having a little bit of a spat with our upstairs neighbors. Nothing over really anything noteworthy or important, just there was an agreement a disagreement a good amount of time ago, and it just was never resolved, and it'll probably never be resolved, which is the unfortunate part. But that's really the only stuff that's been going on in my life. I want to go ahead and bring a little bit of happiness and joy into your guys' day today, or whenever you're watching me. We'll be going over some of the best and just happiest parts of my life so I can have a chance to relive some of it and maybe, help you guys out along the way if you're having a little bit of a rough patch. So go ahead and get a drink, get a snack, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Or if you're doing something, this is something that you can listen to while you're doing dishes or doing laundry or something along those lines. All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and start out with probably my most recent amazing memory, which Tahoe was awesome, but I'll remember it, but that wasn't one of the best. One of the best memories that I have from my recent years would be the past summer. When Mandy and I went on a California road trip together. We went all the way from where we live in Washington to the coast, and then just followed the coastline the entire way to California, and we were going to be going to somewhere that would be kind of close to the Central Valley, so we went basically all the way to there on the coast, and, cut in from there to head to where we were actually going. So while we were driving along the cliffs, along the ocean, it's kind of easy to just almost be swept away with how gorgeous it is. I mean, these cliffs, they're hundreds and hundreds of feet up. Maybe even a couple of them are 1,000 feet up. I can guarantee there's one where you're basically on the top of a mountain and you're looking down on a little seaside community, and there's this really windy road that you take that goes all the way down. That I can guarantee is 1,000 miles, and the road goes, not miles, pardon me, 1,000 feet. My God, I'm tripping over my words. If the road goes right along the cliffside, and there's this rock barrier that protects you from actually going over. That's a little freaky. I'm not gonna lie, but the view was just incredible, and that among so many other views that we got. I mean, Another really cool part about going along the coastline here are these creeping fog banks that will just kind of come out of nowhere, and the way they move over the terrain is just amazing. They almost flow kind of like water through the hills and over the trees and through the trees even. And you drive right through one of them, and then it's just like you're in the middle of a cloud and everything is dark and everything just gets wet around you. It's incredibly fascinating and amazing to look at, especially if you're looking at it from a distance. You can literally see it coming in from the ocean and moving over the terrain, which is just absolutely incredible. A really cool part about going along the coastline too in California, Oregon, or Washington are all the little seaside towns that you'll go through, and they really have, I don't know if you've ever done it before, but it's weird to point this out, they have a very distinct smell. And I mean, it smells of salt water, it smells of a lot of times fish, which some people might not be into, but it's kind of home for me. Going through Seaside, Oregon that was a really, really cool place. If you've never visited Seaside, Oregon, I'd recommend it. Hell, it's where I was actually born too, so being able to pass through there from time to time really kind of, I don't know, takes me back to where my roots are, and technically that's where my roots are. I was pretty happy that I went on the trip too, because that was also when we were doing my aunt's celebration of life. And yeah, that was a bit challenging. Whenever you have to say goodbye to someone for good, it's tough, but at least I did have the chance to say goodbye, even though she's not there in person, but in spirit. So being able to say goodbye was comforting and made me feel much, much better about the entire situation. It kind of brought it to a close finally, that really kind of sad and unfortunate start of that year, I suppose. But one last really cool bit, I mean, the entire drive was incredible. It was just filled with breathtaking vistas, but a really cool part of it is when you start to transition from the coastal part to the more desert mountain part to the Central Valley of California. It's like you go through like 4 or 5 different biomes all in the span of just a couple of hours. It goes from very, very nice and honestly kind of cool to getting scorchingly hot very quickly. It doesn't go very slow, like it's a pretty quick transition when you start to get up into those mountains, and then as you start to cross over, it's still scorchingly hot, but you're surrounded by nothing but green, and you're surrounded by fields where all these farmers are irrigating the fields and growing crops to feed the state and a good portion of the country. It's why one of the reasons why California has such a massive water problem, but if you ever get the chance, driving through the Central Valley of California it's something special. And then all the driving back, this is a part I'm so used to, it doesn't amaze me anymore, but driving past Mount Shasta, going through all the different small and large towns all the way back to Washington, it's just amazing. And as you're coming through, gosh, I'm trying to remember the mountain range. I don't know if it's a part of the Sierra Nevadas, but it's the mountain range that Mount Shasta is a part of. When you're coming out of that, you're just kind of winding around and you're slowly coming into just nothing but green. Oregon is such a cool place. Washington too, but the transition from the whole giant wooded area up in the mountains to just nothing but trees and greenery, it's really something special. Just that entire experience, I feel, was a breath of fresh air in my life at the time, and Mandy and I really needed it, and it truly was a lot of fun. Like I said, I've got a couple of pretty good moments in my life. Another really special moment was when my dad and I went to the East Coast when I was a teenager, and we just wanted to experience what it was like to be over there, I suppose, and what the people are like, and what the food is like, and the different landmarks. We wanted to go to Gettysburg, but we didn't actually get the chance to do so. But we did visit Hershey Park, and honestly, I'm not that big of a fan of roller coasters and, scary rides. I would more likely go skydiving than go on a roller coaster, but I guess I like being more in control of my fate. I don't know why. Had a lot of fun there, went on a couple of rides, but the lines were just so long that nah. It's like any other kind of amusement park, but being able to go there is honestly pretty cool. We went through the gift shop and got a ton of chocolate and just kind of pigged out on that for the rest of the trip. I also got a chance to catch some fireflies when I was in Pennsylvania, which maybe for some of you guys fireflies are a regular occurrence, but me being an East Coaster, a West Coaster, we don't have them over here, and I'd never seen them in my life really until that point. I mean, I've seen them on TV, but being able to actually witness them in person is something completely different, because all you see are these little glowing spots in the night sky and just hovering close to the ground too, and it's almost like little lanterns are just flying across the lawn or flying through the forest. It's really bizarre if you've never experienced it before. I know I was kind of weirded out by it, but caught a couple of them, and I did the stereotypical thing of putting them in a jar, and I had a little jar that was just glowing. It was so cool. While we were also on our trip over there, I don't know if you guys have ever watched Man vs. Food, but it was a show that my dad and we used to binge it all the time when it was on. I would come back from school, he would probably make a meal for us both to eat, and we would turn on Man vs. Food, and this crazy guy on there, I mean, I respect the hell out of him for doing it, but he eats these disproportionately large portions of food, and it's incredible that he's even able to do it. And some of it is so spicy, it was honestly amazing. If you've ever seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Well, when he went to Philadelphia, he made a couple of stops before doing his big challenge, and one of the things he did was to get a Philly cheesesteak. And he went to 2 separate places to get them. They're both very close to one another, and they're rivals, if I'm not mistaken. They're called Pat's and Gino's. And he did a challenge in there to see which one he liked more. I don't remember which one he chose, but my dad and I both went, and we had both of them exactly like they did in the show. It was a really cool moment. But they're so fast over there. Like, the moment that you come up to the window, they're like, "What you want?" And you're like, I don't know what I want. You kind of, blank out on what you're even thinking. So they usually say, "Do you want with or without?" And that usually means with or without onions. It's cheesesteak, wit, and bada bing, bada boom. You're going through kind of like almost a conveyor belt, and they throw you your cheesesteak and make you. It's amazing. It really is amazing. And I think my dad and I both agreed that Pat's was better, both in terms of how it tasted and in the service that we got, because in Gino's, my God, it's scary to go in there. I would much rather go back to Pat's. But if you're ever in Philadelphia, go to Pat's and Gino's. They're both really good. Their cheesesteaks are awesome. A couple of other things that we did while we were there, well, we went through New York. We flew through a couple of different areas, and we weren't initially intending to go to New York, but we had a layover of about 6 hours there, so we just thought, oh, well, might as well go ahead and get a cab and take a look around the city. And that's exactly what we did. And we went through all different kinds of places. I wish I could remember exactly where, but I believe we went through, God, what was the name of it? It's the place where you can find the Bronze Bull, which was really damn cool, and I wanted to get a picture of it, but it's a tourist trap. There are people on that thing constantly, and we were in a taxi, so I didn't really have a good chance to get a picture of it, but looking at that was pretty dang cool. We drove through Little Italy, and that's where our taxi driver dropped us off, and we were able to enjoy a little bit of what I guess modern-day Little Italy in New York was like, and it was fascinating because the entire area changed. It was different from everything else around it. Everything seemed very American, but in Little Italy it was very Italian-American inspired. And then bordering Little Italy was Chinatown, so we were able to go back and forth, and it's a fascinating change being able to do that. We stopped at a little restaurant in Little Italy, and I couldn't understand the menu to save my life. It wasn't in English. So there were no pictures either, so I chose something that was kind of like crunchy rice. and it was almost served in this kind of milky sauce. It was honestly very strange tasting, and I wasn't a huge fan of it, but just looking around and sitting there and looking at all the buildings around me, I mean, they were so tall, I had to crane my neck to be able to see the top of them. New York is a fascinating place, and if you've ever gone there or want to go there, I'd recommend it. And if you've been there, then you know what it's like. Everything is huge. It's just massive, and I want to have a chance to go back one day so I can maybe experience more of it, though I gotta probably get used to Seattle first, because I realize I don't do well with huge cities and massive groups of people. It makes me feel claustrophobic. I guess that probably comes with living in the middle of nowhere for, I'd say, a quarter of my life. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Thank you very much for being patient. Matilda's still just hanging out back there. I guess she's gonna be our little co-host for today. So, God, how many experiences have I gone through? I think I've already gone through 3. Oh no, that's 2, pardon me. So, I'll go over just a couple more. I'd say another one would probably be when I was out surfing. I think it was a year and a half ago at this point already, maybe. Jesus, it feels... Wow, that's a long time. I ran into a whale. I didn't actually run into it, but I was maybe about 10 feet away from it, and watching its back end come out of the water and looking at how massive it was up close was just like, horrifying at the time. Fucking horrifying. So I paddled back to shore as quickly as I could, and I still saw it out there. It wasn't even very far out there. And all I could think of at the time was, this is really cool, but if that could be underneath of me, what else could be under there? Because it was huge. It really was massive. It's strange to like look at it from a distance, but seeing it up close, it's just, wow. Here's a really basic one. When I was a little kid, I think I was maybe 5 or 6. I think my dad and I were on the beach somewhere in Carlsbad, California, and I was flying a kite and it went down in the water, and I was really sad about it, so I started, I think, trying to reel it back in, and it took flight out of the water. Something that small stuck in here for so long as such an amazing memory. It was like, whoa, my kite flew. It flew out of the water. Of course, my dad didn't see it, but it was really special to me at the time. When I was I think I was maybe a sophomore in high school, my buddy and I went to Hawaii together. My dad paid for a trip for all of us, which was really, really damn fun. Funny enough, when we went to the airport, which was about an hour and a half away from where we lived at the time, my dad forgot his wallet. He forgot his wallet, so we had to go back home, and instead of, you know, saying, no, we can't go, or making us wait for a while, he doubled down and bought first-class tickets. Which, I mean, I don't know how expensive it was. I honestly don't want to know. But the experience was just amazing. They were probably like $1,500 each, I bet. But the experience was awesome. They gave us 3 meals, unlimited movies. They gave us drinks that were, you know, suitable for teenagers, no alcohol. My dad was taking full advantage. Well, he was in there, I know. I don't know how many glasses of wine he had. That was pretty dang fun. I learned how to paddleboard while I was there, and I even did a teensy bit of surfing on that paddleboard because I caught a small wave that was coming in. What else did we do there? We went zip lining and driving around, and Maui has a bunch of different interesting little biomes on it. There's desert, I mean, kind of what you'd expect of volcanic terrain, and then eucalyptus forests, which were just really, really cool. That's where we did the zip lining. Oh God, Maui was fun, and I want to go back. So, I've had a lot of fun in my life, and these are just a couple examples of some of the best times that I can really remember in my life, and the times that, in my mind, made my life worth living. And it's become a little bit more challenging to have some of those as I'm, you know, getting older, because more responsibility is on me. When I was a kid, it was easy because I had no responsibility. I just ran with the punches. But now that I'm an adult, I have to be the one to finance this sort of stuff. And it's expensive, and it's getting more expensive as time goes on, but I just like to take a few moments and remember the happiness and the joy that I've experienced. It's one of the things that keeps me, I think, for the most part, fairly mentally sound and happy as a person. So I guess if there's anything that I'm going to teach you maybe from the good experiences that I've had in my life, when shit really gets you down and when you're really not in a good place, it might be hard to think about the good parts of your life or the happy memories, but please try to. Please just take a few moments for yourself, nothing else, and just think of some of the happy and good moments that you've experienced in your life, because in all honesty, at sometimes those are some of the points that make your life worth living. It's not just about purpose. Purpose is important too, but it's what you've done and what you plan to do. Having goals. Like, I want to do a biking trip from maybe one side of the coast to the other. Like, I don't know, I want to go all the way from where I live in Washington, maybe all the way to the East Coast, and there goes our little second host. She's so cute. So, I hope you guys all enjoyed this. I'm sorry it's about a day late. I'm kind of changing my schedule around with things. I'm going to try to keep Tuesdays for my podcasts, but if I don't really feel up to it or I'm busy, then I won't. I don't want to ever force myself to do this. I want this to remain something that's fun and gives me, I guess, some enjoyment. And it is. And that's why I continue to do it. So everybody, thank you so much for all the love and support that you've given me. All the music is going to be down below in the bio. All my social media, if you want to keep up with what I'm doing and when I'm doing it, is also going to be in the bio as well. Everybody, this has been the Backroom Podcast, and I promise I'll be bringing Mandy on very soon. I gotta learn how to not take over so much when that happens. So, I'll see you all in the next one. Drive safe, and peace.